Well, let's get the latest on this now for you. I'm joined in the studio by James Park from the think tank Human Scale Education and the Conservative MP and former Education Minister Nick Gibb as well. Gentlemen, very good evening to you. Nick Gibb, let's start with you. I mean, another week, another education policy. Explain to our viewers why branding primary school children is a good idea.
Well, that's the way that, Mary, the unions are branding it, but actually it's about making sure that children, when they leave...
Well, it's banding children, isn't it?
It's about making sure that when children leave primary school, they're fluent readers, that they're fluent in long multiplication, long division, that they're ready then to take on the more challenging secondary curriculum. Now, this issue about banding children, it is about ensuring that parents know how well their child is doing compared with other children of their age. That's all it's doing. It's not publishing the results. It's just saying that your child is in the second decile, or the third decile, the top decile, or whatever, so they know how well they're doing. And it could actually be a reflection of the school and not necessarily a reflection of the child's own ability.
It all sounds quite reasonable, doesn't it, James Park? And Nick Clegg says we have to raise the bar. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, I think when politicians talk about raising standards, we all have to agree. We want more rigour, we want more challenge in the system. I just don't think this is the way to do it.
Why not?
I think that what we're looking at here is another occasion for politicians to have more metrics by which to manage the education system. What we're not looking at is a way of increasing the chance that young people in primary school are going to have the fullest opportunities to learn, to grow and to achieve.
Are you obsessed by data? Because it certainly seems that way.
Well, data is very important. If you can, to identify those schools that are letting children down. And the government is determined to close this attainment gap that is very wide between those children from poorer backgrounds and the wealthier backgrounds. And this is part of doing that. And the government is determined that every child that leaves primary school will be able to read fluently, will know their fractions, will know their tables by heart by the time they're 9, will be knowledgeable in the history and geography of our country. This is the determination of the government. And this proposal that's been announced today is just one part of that, to make sure that the tests that are taken at 11 are understood by parents. At the moment, children are given a level, that you're a level 3, you're a level 4. No one knows what that means. And this is a more transparent way so that parents can understand that my child needs extra help because he or she is in the bottom 10%. And that's important information for parents.
James Park, an email or Twitter feed maybe for you to answer. This is from Michael Stewart, one of our viewers, who says there's nothing wrong with ranking children. A lot of countries in the world have end-of-term exams to see what they need to do. And I suppose, as Nick Gibb said, it's great to give parents as much information as they possibly need.
I think it's great for kids to do tests. I think it's great to give information. I think what's wrong is to obsess about a particular set of measures related to children. The way I would describe it is to compare a school to an apricot tree. If you had a tree and you wanted rich and fruity apricots, you would be right to look at the leaves from time to time and to see if they were good. But if you just look at the leaves, you don't nurture the soil, you're not going to create rich fruit. And what we have are ministers phonetically with their spreadsheets, looking in more and more sophisticated ways at the leaves, and they're missing out what would actually enable the achievement gap to be narrowed.
And that added just to some more of our tweets I want you to reply to, Nick Gibb. Angela Watson says, here we go again, winners and losers. More effort should be made to reduce class sizes and allow the learning process to take place. Another gentleman says the ranking of school children is despicable. A lot of people don't like this, do they?
Well, this is just one part of a whole range of programmes. We're raising the standards of teaching and people coming into the teaching profession. We've changed the curriculum.
But what about reducing class sizes?
Schools now have much more autonomy. The academy programme gives head teachers now much more autonomy about how to deploy their budget and their staff. And another announcement.
Not all schools are academies.
Another announcement today was the pupil premium. That's now £1,300 per pupil eligible for free school meals. So schools will have a significant amount more money in which they can do just that, lower class sizes, if that's what they believe will raise standards in their school.
James Park, I know that you in the past talked about setting of targets as toxic. So what's your big plan? What's your alternative?
I think that what we want is for parents and teachers to have a much more intelligent conversation about what's happening for their children in school. And I think that's about moving away from this obsession with one set of examination grades and being able to talk about how resilient they are, how much are they enjoying learning, are they engaged in learning, having a much more interesting and richer set of data.
So why do 5-year-olds need to be tested? I mean, surely they should just be allowed to have fun and enjoy themselves and be more well-rounded as as James Park says.
Well, this is one of two proposals that are being consulted upon. How you measure progress. Do you measure it from the age of 5 or do you measure it from the age of 7? Because it's important not just to look at the absolute level of attainment at 11, but how well they have done compared with how they were when they joined the school. That's what that's about. The government hasn't made a decision about from which age they will base that on, but it's either going to be 5 or 7.
OK, we've been out about talking to parents today about this. Let's have a look at what they had to say.
If you already have low esteem and everything like that, it's like the final nail in the coffin itself. It's like you've kind of technically just said to that kid, you know what, this is as good as you're going to get.
The idea of giving your child that information at 11, it can be quite damaging.
I think it wouldn't be particularly helpful for them to know exactly, supposing they're not doing very well, or maybe they're doing too well and they could relax too much. I don't think it's a particularly helpful thing.
So there you go, 3 views which aren't particularly positive, Nick Gibb. I mean, telling an 11-year-old they're in the bottom of their class, how is that motivating for that 11-year-old?
Well, most children know anyway where they are in relation to their peers in their class. But also, even now, children are told, you are a level 3. I hear children say to me when I visit schools, I'm a level 4B. So they know what their level is. And
it's harsh, though, isn't it? To
they
say,
know that,
you're in the bottom 10% of the country.
If you know you're a level 3, you know you're in the bottom quarter anyway. Now, what we're trying to do is to make it more transparent to parents so they understand what it means. And no child's results are going to be published in some national league table. It's all about the parent and the child being told where they are in relation to the rest of their class.
You've both done very well in your careers. How were you doing at the age of 11, James Park?
At the age of 11, I seemed to be doing very well, but I ended up coming out of school with no idea how to live life.
And Nick Gibb? I bet you're top of your class, aren't you?
I'm not sure, somewhere there. The 11 plus had been abolished by the time I was 11, but I think I was doing quite well.
So there you go, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.